All right, international feature. This is probably going to be pretty easy. So Amelia Perez, obviously getting in, obviously winning. I'm still here. I have it number 2. It was at number, I think, 3 or 4 last time, but it's been doing very, very well. It's got its huge fan base. It's very critically acclaimed. Fernando Torres could get into Best Actress, and I have her getting in, so I have it at number 2 over The Seed of the Sacred Fig, which is solidly at number 3. Kneecap has been doing very well. It definitely did extremely well at BAFTA for sure. And that's been getting a lot of great reviews. Got a lot of great reception for that. So that is solidly at number 4, I believe. And then that number 5 slot, again, it could go to Vermilio. It could go to Girl with the Needle. It could go to How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies. It could go to Universal Language, Armand. I mean, it could be any one of these 5 films, honestly. It could do something weird. They usually almost always do something weird in international feature. Like last year, I think The Teacher's Lounge got in without a single precursor nomination, or maybe it got one, I'm not sure. But it happens. It happens. And Vermilio did get into Golden Globe. And then Girl with the Needle could be a possibility. I don't think they'll go with Flow because they've been weird about nominating animated features outside of animated feature. So I don't think that's going to happen. But as far as like crazy random picks, maybe Universal Language could happen, or Armand, or maybe Santosh, or again, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, or any of these, really, in the short list. And of course, let's pour one out to All We Imagine Is Light. You see this? You see this, Film Federation of India? You see this right here? It did really well in precursors because it's a critically acclaimed movie, but the jury said it was very technically poor. So whatever that means. Amelia Perez. I'm still here. The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Kneecap, Vermilio. That's what I'm going with in my gut, in my heart of hearts. Let's move on. Animated feature. I got Flow at the top. Just because it won Golden Globe and it's just been performing extremely well. It hasn't missed a beat. International voters absolutely love it. People are going crazy for it. It's won, I think, the most critics' prizes. It really is the surprise frontrunner, the surprise late season frontrunner. But just behind it is still the Wild Robot. I still think a Wild Robot could pull off something. We'll have to see what happens at Critics' Choice and at the Annies and PGA and BAFTA and all that. So Inside Out 2, I think is solidly in there. That'll be the Pixar pick for this year. Wallace and Gromit, they love that studio, so I don't see them not nominating that. Very critically acclaimed as well. And then I have Memoir of a Snail, which has been kind of losing steam as of late, unfortunately. It got into Critics' Choice and Golden Globe, and it got an Indie nomination at Annie's, but it missed PGA and it missed BAFTA. So that has me concerned a little bit. But just like international feature, the Oscars like to do random picks in animated feature. They'll pull one out of the ether, like Robot Dreams from last year, which got almost nothing in the precursors, and then it just showed up out of nowhere. But at least Memoir of a Snail has something. Other than that, like what would get in? Moana 2, I guess, would be the other one, which I have at number 6. Maybe that could happen. Maybe they'll do something really cool like Look Back, which is technically one of the best and most critically acclaimed animated films of last year, from what I've heard. And that did get an Indie nomination at the Annies. Or they could do something crazy random like Chicken for Linda or That Christmas. I don't know. Or maybe even the Looney Tunes movie, which isn't even out yet. But whatever. I have that listed at the bottom. Whatever. So I have Flow at number 1, battling it out with Wild Robot, and then Inside Out 2, Wallace and Gromit, more or less locks, and then Memoir of a Snail in that more shaky 5th spot. So that's animated feature. Let's move on. All right, we've arrived, folks, at the tech categories, starting off with cinematography. Law Crowley for The Brutalist I have at number 1. Right behind him for Dune Part 2, I have Greg Fraser. Then I have Conclave, Nosferatu, and we have Maria. So let's start off at the top. Brutalist has been doing very well. Got in everywhere. BSC, ASC, Critics' Choice, BAFTA. Same thing with Dune Part 2, Conclave, and Nosferatu. All of these films have not missed a beat anywhere. Again, that 5th slot, it could go any which way. For right now, I have Ed Lockman getting in for Maria, which a lot of us thought was dead. The cinematography chances were dead for Ed Lockman for Maria. that film has just been getting very little acclaim and very little passion. But this is what I'm scared of right here. ASC. My man got into ASC. Not only that, the Academy loves Ed Lockman. He's been nominated a bunch of times. And if you get that ASC nomination out of nowhere, then you got a threat. You got a threat to get into cinematography. And then what also got into cinematography was Wicked and A Complete Unknown, which I have down here. I don't really see A Complete Unknown getting in just because like the cinematography isn't like technically on the level as some of these other prospects. Maybe it could happen, but I very highly doubt it. Wicked, you know, it's been getting a lot of flack. The cinematography for Wicked, it's mostly like the color grading and the way the movie looks, like aesthetically, that has been kind of rubbing people the wrong way. There are some segments of the film that are shot very well. So it's still getting recognized at, say, Critics' Choice and ASC. So maybe that could happen, especially if the Oscars go gung ho for Wicked. For right now, I have Maria in just because of that lone ASC nomination, number 1, and number 2, they love Ed Lockman. So I just see that happening. I'm throwing it in at number 5 and calling it a day. What really should be nominated though is Nickel Boys. So, I mean, what happened there? What happened? What happened? How do you plea? Where did Jomo Frey go for Nickel Boys? Man, that for my money, that should be winning cinematography. Well, it's between that and The Brutalist, but still, like it should be at least a front runner for sure. But man, what happened? Critics' Choice and that's it? Critics' Choice and that's it. No BAFTA, no BSC, no ASC. It got a spotlight recognition at ASC, whatever the hell that means. Have you seen it? Have you seen the movie? The first-person POV technology that they did, that whole thing, crazy. Like, what other major movie has been doing that? It's awesome. It deserves all the recognition it needs, and that should get nominated. I don't think it's going to happen at this point, especially with Nickel Boy's chances kind of being in the water right now. But albeit, I still have it listed at number 7. Complete Unknown I talked about. Amelia Perez, I don't really see it happening. It's a very well shot movie, but and it did get into some places. It got into BSC and BAFTA, so that could probably happen too. And then Girl with the Needle I had in last time just because that was like a black and white pick that they could go out for, but that has been it's blanked all season long. It's blanked all season long. So that's it. That's cinematography. Brutalist, Dune, Conclave, Nosferatu, Maria. Lock it up, lock it in, move it on. Editing. I have Dune, Part 2. I have Amelia Perez at number 2, Anora, Conclave, and September 5. So this is the other nomination that I have for September 5. It's going to get a package. It's going to get picture. It's going to get screenplay. It's going to get into editing. That's going to be its 3 nomination package there. So that makes the most sense to me. Dune Part 2 is most likely winning just because it's the technical marvel of the year for sure. Amelia Perez is in because obviously it's one of the best picture frontrunners. Same thing with Anora. Same thing with Conclave. They've all gotten in pretty much everywhere. See Dune Part 2, Anora, Conclave, Amelia Perez. Missed Critics' Choice but got into Ace, Eddie, and BAFTA. The Brutalist is number 6, man. The Brutalist is number 6. And there's this weird thing about like movies that are over 3 hours long where they just don't get editing nominations for whatever reason. It's just like they're long, they got long takes, and it's not enough editing. Like what the Oscars typically go for in best editing is like the most editing or the most inventive editing. Now, the editing in The Brutalist in some areas is extremely inventive. But yes, there are a lot of long takes. Yes, it's not as flashy as, say, Dune or Amelia Perez or even in some ways Anora, but it's still editing. You ever edit a 35 millimeter film on VistaVision? You know, enough film for a 3.5 hour epic. You ever do that? You think you're you think you're worthy of an Oscar nomination? You would think, but nope. I got it at number 6 because look, ladies and gentlemen, it's only got Critics' Choice. What are we doing? What are we doing? Can we not do that? 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 Unless the Oscars really goes hard for The Brutalist and wants to nominate it everywhere, like a Power of the Dog situation where Power of the Dog got into, I think, editing and production design, for God's sakes, and some of these other tech categories. Maybe that'll happen, but its guild showing isn't great, and its track record as far as precursors just isn't shown. It's not really adding up for me. So I have it missing. Wicked I have down there. That did get into Ace Eddie comedy. The Substance I have listed. It should be nominated for editing, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Same thing with Nickel Boys. Challengers is down there, shoved down there, and Civil War is shoved down there because they, I believe, got into Ace Eddie as well. So, but for right now, I have Dune, Amelia Perez, Anora, Conclave, September 5. Lock it and load it. Move it along. Production design. We have Wicked at the top. Probably winning. Probably going to win. Dune Part 2 might give it a run for its money, but I would say 80% chance Wicked will win this award. So those are the top two for right now. Conclave I have in. It's been showing up. You know, some people have been doubting it, but they basically rebuilt the Vatican for the film, which is very impressive. So it's been getting in everywhere. Same thing with Nosferatu. Wonderful production design in that film. And The Brutalist has been showing up as well, and I have that listed here. Production design is a big part of that film because the film not only takes place in Philly and New York City and some of these American cities in the 1950s, it was filmed in Hungary, I believe. So production design was definitely a factor there. Not only that, the film is about an architect, for God's sakes. He builds this giant monument center like structure thing in the second half of the film, and it is a feat, is a spectacle, not only of them the process of building the monument and then seeing kind of like the finished product in bits and pieces. It's definitely a sight to behold. So yeah, for sure, production design is kind of a gimme there. As far as the race is concerned, we have Wicked getting into CC and ADG Fantasy and BAFTA. Same thing with Dune Part 2. Conclave getting the Contemporary ADG nomination. The Brutalist with Critics' Choice, ADG, and BAFTA. Same thing with Nosferatu. So pretty much all of the ones I'm predicting got into the same awards bodies across the board. ADG, Critics' Choice, and I guess BAFTA. The only other one that's not here is Gladiator 2, and like I said, I have it just barely missing at number 6, just because love and passion for that film has died off, really, and it just hasn't been really showing up as much in the late season guilds, so I just don't see it happening. So I have it at number 6. It could happen, but I just don't see it happen. Amelia Perez maybe could happen if they really go crazy for Amelia Perez. That entire film was shot on sound stages from what I've heard, so that is very impressive. You got to give it that. It did get that ADG Contemporary nomination, so I gotta have it listed. Same thing with Furiosa and A Complete Unknown and Beetlejuice. They also got in. I believe all of those got in. And The Substance also got into ADG Contemporary. And if it were up for me, I think I would have The Substance nominated. But that's just me. But whatever. So for production design, Wicked, Dune, Conclave, Nosferatu, The Brutalist. Let's move on. Costume design, Wicked, clearly winning, right? Clearly winning. Then we got Nosferatu, we got Dune Part 2, we got Conclave, and we got Amelia Perez. Let's look at the race. Nosferatu's been killing it, really. It has a CDG period nomination, which period costumes are typically what the Oscars go for, as opposed to more contemporary and sci-fi costume work. So that has that going for it. Wicked is not so much period, but it is fantasy, and it is very fantastical and very maximalist in its costumes for sure. And I think it's pretty much got it locked, essentially. And then Conclave, you know, some people were kind of doubting Conclave because a lot of the costumes were just kind of the same, but it's not really there's not a lot of variations to the costumes, sure, but it's consistent It's concise, it's clean, it's accurate, it's still a great job. There's still costumes at the end of the day, and there's a lot of them. And they're consistent, and they're quality, and that's what matters. And look, man, it's been getting a Critics' Choice, CDG Contemporary, BAFTA. What do you want from me? What more do you want from a costumes contender? It'll happen. It'll happen, especially with it being a Best Picture frontrunner. Signed, sealed, delivered. Amelia Perez, I also have in. It's kind of a shaky fifth spot there. I almost said spot again. So that's a contemporary pick, and I have it in just because it's one of the best picture frontrunners, as opposed to Gladiator 2, as opposed to Maria. Complete Unknown's costumes are solid, but they're not, I guess, flashy and more. I don't know. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. If it was like number 2 for Best Picture, maybe I would have it in, but I don't know. I don't see it happening. It only got that BAFTA nomination. It didn't even get into the guilds or Critics' Choice. So it's down there. It's down there. Blitz, I don't know if it's going to happen. And Brutalist, I'm just going to throw in there just in case they go crazy for it. But I don't see it happening either. Saturday Night, dead. Sorry. Let's move on. Makeup and hair. The Substance has been winning since God knows how long. Probably since before the movie came out. We knew it was winning the Oscar. There you go. Still at number 1. Let's talk about some other contenders now that aren't going to be winning. Wicked is in, I think. That'll definitely get in. I don't know how many prosthetics are in the film, but the Academy typically goes for more prosthetic-based makeup work historically. So, but the makeup in Wicked is, I guess, it has more variety than, say, Barbie last year. I know Barbie was not even shortlisted for makeup last year for whatever reason. So they usually go more makeup, like creative makeup, than like light makeup and hairstyling, if you will. But I think Wicked, being a fantasy film and being a Best Picture player, I see it happening for sure. Nosferatu, we got the prosthetics for Bill Skarsgård and some other great makeup work in the film as well, so I think that'll happen. Beetlejuice has great makeup work for sure, prosthetics there. And A Different Man, for sure, has been performing very well in the precursors here. It's got into Critics' Choice, and it got the special makeup nomination at the Makeup Guild. It did miss at BAFTA, but not going to lose sleep over that. I think it's enough. I think that could very well happen. But I'm going to keep an eye out on this guy right here, where I'm going to keep an eye on Waltzing for Brando. If A Different Man is just going to blank and it's just going to die off and they just don't see it or ignore it, they could pull Waltzing with Brando just out of the ether and just have that be their Golda for this year and just be like, there you go. Oh, Different Man? Oh, sorry, I forgot about that one. And, the makeup in A Different Man is fantastic, but it's not really prevalent throughout the film. It's more in like the first third of the film where it's very impressive. And then there's like other parts like scattered about without giving too much away. It's still prevalent, but it's the most prevalent in the first, I guess, third of the film. So that has that going against it. And A Different Man is definitely a smaller indie film that A24 just kind of cast to the wayside. But I don't know. I have it in for now, but I can see maybe Waltzing with Brando sneak in. And then Dune Part 2 and Amelia Perez could probably get in there too. The Apprentice has some prosthetics, and we'll see where that goes. That could also happen, but look, it's blanked. It has blanked all season long. No, not a track record really whatsoever to speak of. So that's why I got it down at number 9. But that's it. We got Substance, Wicked, Nosferatu, Beetlejuice, and A Different Man for right now. Top 5. So let's move on. Visual effects. Dune Part 2, I think, is obviously winning. And then we got 1, 2, 3 other monkey movies. Mufasa the Lion King, I think, has monkeys in it. But Better Man has a monkey. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has a whole kingdom of a planet of monkeys. So, monkeys. They usually go for any Apes movies. All of the Planet of the Apes films, at least the modern ones, have been nominated across the board. That's definitely going to get in. A Better Man, they turned Robbie Williams into a chimp. So, there's that. That's been getting in everywhere. Mufasa the Lion King has been showing up in where it needs to. We got CC, we got VES, we got BAFTA. So these 3 films have gotten all 3 of those. Mufasa the Lion King got VES, and Alien Romulus, I feel like they typically pull one out of the ether for this category, typically. And the one that they pulled out of the ether last year was Godzilla Minus One, which didn't get a single precursor nomination. And then not only it got nominated for the Oscar, it won. So, never say never. I think Alien Romulus has good enough visual effects for it to get nominated for sure. It could also be Gladiator 2. I doubt it. Wicked, I really doubt it, because Wicked hasn't been really been showing up a lot. It blanked at VES. You really need to get into the guilds in order to have a good chance at getting an Oscar nomination lock for sure. So I don't know. I just have a feeling about Alien Romulus. Maybe Deadpool and Wolverine could pull something off. Twisters, Civil War, I really doubt it. But this is my 5 for right now. So let's move it along. Best Sound, we have Dune Part 2 again at the top. Most likely winning, but we'll see. Wicked, Complete Unknown, Deadpool and Wolverine, Amelia Perez. 3 of these are music-based. They love going with music-based picks. They've been getting in everywhere they need to. Dune Part 2, especially. Deadpool and Wolverine, Wicked, they've been getting in everywhere. Complete Unknown, the sound work in that movie is great. Somehow missed at BAFTA, which was strange. And then Amelia Perez getting that Guild nomination was very good. But again, I think they would go with Amelia Perez just because it's a Best Picture frontrunner and it's a musical-based film. It makes the most sense to me. But again, it is number 5, so it is the most shaky spot right now. Maybe Alien Romulus could pull something off. Maybe Blitz can just come back and be like, hey, remember me? The strongest aspect of that film is the sound work. So, hey, never say never. Joker, Wild Robot, absolutely long shots for sure. But that's what I got for Best Sound. Best Original Score. I have The Brutalist at the top. I have Conclave at number 2. I have The Brutalist winning for now. And before I move on, I know Dune Part 2 is not here because it was deemed ineligible. It is ineligible. It is disqualified. It is not getting nominated. And that is a crime. That being said, I think The Brutalist is definitely the second best option. It hasn't won anything yet. In fact, Challengers is the only score that it's won so far. That was at Golden Globe. That seemed to have been just a Golden Globe pick. We're going to have to see what happens at Critics' Choice and BAFTA. Score can be all over the place. You know, precursors don't matter quite as much as some of the other categories and some of the other tech categories. You know, some crazy stuff will happen in score. So we'll have to see. But Challengers, I think I have in. There's some people that are doubting its chances. It did miss at BAFTA, which was a big blow to it. In fact, it wasn't even long-listed at BAFTA. And then it won Golden Globe, so it's like, what's going on here? Like, give me an answer. But for right now, I'm going with my heart, and I'm going with my gut, and I'm going with the yeah, and I'm putting Challengers in the top 5. And look, Reznor and Ross, they're staples. What can I say? Amelia Perez, solidly in. That's been getting in everywhere it needs to. Same thing with Conclave. Nosferatu is kind of a last shaky spot. I kind of have that nominated just because it got that BAFTA nomination. And what I have missing is I have the Wild Robot missing. I have it at number 6. The reason being, as much as I would love to see it, it's a great score, but remember what happened with Spider-Man a couple years ago, Across the Spider-Verse. Daniel Pemberton got in everywhere he needed to. And then not only did Spider-Verse miss in score, it also missed picture and a lot of other categories. Animated films just aren't getting nominated outside of... I mean, Pinocchio wasn't nominated for score, and that was Desplat, the previous winner. I mean, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen nowadays, unless the score is like game-changing, which it's a great score, but it's not like a game-changing score. And in fact, I think the Across the Spider-Verse score was in a way game-changing. It was an incredible score, and it got shut out. I just don't see it happening. I'm being a cynic here, and I'm just gonna see it missing, with it getting into every place. It's just too good to be true. If it happens, I'll be very happy, but I just don't see it happening. But what is that? The next best thing really is Nosferatu. You know, that could happen. Or maybe something else could happen. Maybe Alberto Iglesias could get in for The Room Next Door. They actually love Alberto Iglesias. I think he's been nominated 4 or 5 times. But the thing is, for every film that he's been nominated for, he has gotten into at least one precursor. He has blanked all season long. He has not been nominated for score. Even for Parallel Mothers, I think he got nominated in a precursor. Maybe he didn't, but I did do my research a little bit on him. Parallel Mothers, performed well in other categories, like it got into Best Actress. That's not happening for The Room Next Door. It's just it's like a maybe 3 or 4 or 5% chance, but I don't really see it happening. But I have him listed here anyway. Sing Sing's score is very good. It's very quality. If Sing Sing got into Best Picture, maybe it could be a little bit higher on this list, but I just have it here just because. Wicked's here. That really hasn't been getting a lot of nominations. It's pretty much all existing music. It did make the shortlist somehow. It has enough new and more original music in it than Dune Part 2 somehow. I don't know how that's possible, but whatever. But I have it listed anyway, just because it's in Best Picture. And then Hans Zimmer Blitz. Let's move on. All right, original song. The top 2, we have the 2 Emilia Perez songs, Mi Camino and El Mal. It could go to either one of these. El Mal did win the Golden Globe, which I actually was predicting Mi Camino. El Mal is more of the energetic, more of the show-stoppy type of song. And then Mi Camino is more of the emotional and kind of ballad-esque song. Much like Barbie from last year. I'm Just Ken won Critics' Choice. And then What Was I Made For won the Oscar. El Mal winning Golden Globe and maybe Critics' Choice. Maybe they could go with El Mal anyway, or they could go for the more emotional pick, Mi Camino. The Oscars typically go for the more emotional, ballady type songs. If you're nominated, if there's multiple songs from the same film being nominated, they typically go for the more heartfelt song. So I am predicting Mi Camino to win, with El Mal in a close second. Kiss the Sky, I have in. It's been getting in. And then Compress Repress, I do not have in. I have that in at number 6. That's kind of a maybe. It just doesn't seem like an Oscars original song type song. As great as it is, it just doesn't seem like it'll happen. I have Heartburn Will Go West in here. And they like to kind of pick out, good songs from documentary features. Like last year, It Never Went Away from American Symphony. American Symphony wasn't nominated for documentary, but they nominated that song an original song last year. So maybe this year it could be Heartburn Will Go West for Will and Harper, which does have a Critics' Choice nomination, which helps its chances. So that's why I have that at number 4. And ladies and gentlemen, the woman herself, Miss Diane Warren. If she gets shortlisted, you best believe she's going to get nominated. She gets nominated every year for movies that people don't really see, but she's Diane Warren. She's just in the club, so in the club, unbelievably in the club, Diane Warren. So she is here. She is here. She's at number 5. Congratulations on your nomination, Diane Warren. Like a Bird, Sing Sing, probably not going to happen. I would love for it to happen, but it's not going to happen. Wanted to, Piece by Piece, Sick in the Head. Sick in the Head might be a surprise. Like if Kneecap is well loved by international voters and some of those voters overlap with BAFTA, which I don't know if they do or not, maybe that can get enough votes. That could be like kind of like a surprise. That would be cool. But I have it at number 10. I don't really see it happening. Winter's Coat, Blitz. No. All right. Documentary. Dude, this category is the bane of my existence. It really is the bane of my existence. What do we do? What do we do in documentary feature? Like, I always go like 2 out of 5 for documentary feature nominations. They snub frontrunners. They pick things out of the ether like all the time. It's so unpredictable. Look at all these precursors, man. We got Critics' Choice. CHA, we got IDA, PGA, DGA, Indie Spirit, BAFTA. Like, what are we doing, man? So many. And these are the shortlisted ones. Look, and we got all this for the shortlist. And then we got all these that didn't make the shortlist that also won, or that also showed up in all these precursors. So it's just a shit show. Every single year it's a shit show. I'm just gonna do whatever. I'm just gonna go with my gut, and we're just gonna see what happens. No Other Land and Sugarcane, I think, are the two front runners for sure. They've been doing very well, so those are top two for right now. Daughters has been doing very well. That's been showing up at a lot of the precursors. Got DGA and BAFTA. Same thing with Black Box Diaries. Dahomey seemed to be a thing for a while, but that's kind of died off. Same thing with Remarkable Life of Evelyn. And then there's some of these other ones like Queendom, Porcelain War, Hollywood Gate, which are down below here. I don't really know what I'm doing in this category. If I'm being completely honest, I'm kind of crunching numbers and going with my gut, but also half going with statistical data, historical data. But it's always, I always throw my hands up in the air at documentary feature every year. So that's what I got for right now. No Other Land, Sugarcane, Daughters, Black Box Diaries, Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat. Let's just call it there. All right, finally, we have the shorts categories. I don't even know if we should go into this. I just pulled these from Gold Derby. These are just 10 of the films that got into the shortlist. There's no precursors. We just don't know. Until nominations morning, honestly. And I usually go with Gold Derby top 5. I think I did maybe one pick here, like Only Girl in the Orchestra. I threw in at number 5. While I think Gold Derby went with one of these other ones. I think Incident or Tracing Rue or something. But, for documentary short and live action short, I'm pretty much going with Gold Derby top 5, and we're going to see what happens at nominations morning. I'm losing my voice. I've been talking for the last 2 hours. Help. And then animated short, same thing. So that's it, man. Oh my God, we did it. We did it. We did it. We did our Oscar predictions. Oh, gotta stretch. Oh. Those are my Oscar predictions for January 2025, ladies and gentlemen. January 23rd are the Oscar nominations, and I will definitely be doing a reaction video for the nominations. That is the next thing on the docket after these predictions videos are out, and I'm excited. It is Christmas morning that morning, and it's either going to be amazing. I mean, it's exciting either way, I'm not going to lie, but it could go any which way. I mean, it's a crazy race. It's been a crazy awards race, and it really is the finish line for sure once nominations are announced. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to y'all watching. I'm going to leave it at that, folks. Those are my Oscar predictions. Sound off in the comments below if you agree, disagree, you want to correct me on things, or if you want to just throw your predictions out there. Any thoughts that you guys have, any discussions that you want to have, feel free to sound off and jumpstart that algorithm. Give me a like, give me a sub, ring that bell if you so desire. OscarGuyHere.com. Check out my predictions there and my videos and my podcast and everything like that. Letterboxd, Oscar Guy Here. Twitter, Oscar Guy Here. Instagram, Oscar Guy Here. And that's it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all on Oscar nominations morning. Catch you on the flip. And Oscar Guy is out.